morning. Hello. And you are in the meeting place. And I am Michelle O'Neill, your purposeful living coach and boundary strategist. And I say thank you for being here with me this Monday morning. And I want you to know that I help heart-centered, high-achieving women create and execute those specific dreams and visions that they have for their lives so they can live the extraordinary life that they were created to live. And I am so thrilled, again, as I said, that you're here with me today. If you've been here before, if you are a legacy member, go ahead and put hashtag legacy in the comments below. But if you're a newbie and this is your first time here, I want you to go ahead and put hashtag newbie so I can give you a shout out too. Let me know your name and where you're from so I can say hey to you. And if you are here watching the replay, go ahead and put hashtag replay so that I can double back and make sure that I comment on your comments. I don't want to leave you out. And I know we can't always be here. And so I am honored that you come back and watch the meeting place. Now, let's go ahead and let's start with the elephant in the room. I want to quit. Have you ever felt that way? You know, that you really want to quit. I'm done. I'm done. You know that attitude? I am done. I want to quit. I want to quit. I'm done. Well, we've all felt that way in multiple areas of our lives. We felt that way in some way or another at some time or another. And and I'm going to be real, whether it's being a mom, whether it's being a wife, whether it's being a professional, whatever it is, we have all felt that way, that life is hard and I don't want to do this no more. I'm done. I want to quit. And what I want to say is sometimes, even for me, it happens at least, I would almost say, once a week, if not every day. Like I said, life is hard and it gets hard for us to sometimes push through. We're tired. There is so much going on in our lives. And so I feel, in fact, I know that it's important that we look at three things in our life. You know, we need to ask ourselves before we go ahead and just jump right into quitting or giving up or throwing something away and starting something new, before we give it up, before we quit, before we say, I'm done, I'm through, we want to look at three areas. We want to look at why you want to quit. We want to look at when it's time to quit. And then finally, and then we want to look at how to go about quitting. When your mind is made up, when you're through, how do you go about quitting? So let's look at the first one, right? Why do you want to quit? Is it because you're tired? Is it because you don't feel appreciated? And this is what keeps coming up when I talk to my clients and stuff. This is one of the things that keeps coming up again and again. And so there are, in every area of our lives, like business, a lot of times if you have your own business, if you're working through your business, then you feel like you're not fruitful. And so what do I mean about being fruitful? That you're not getting the clients that you thought you should get or that you wanted to get, that you're not getting the finances, that you're in the hole, that it's hard and you're like, why do I keep doing this? Why have I been doing this for 5 years and not getting any results? Well, you know, most businesses don't show results, don't get into green to the first 5 to 7 years. But most people give up in the first 2 years. And so you still here working your business, you're not that give up type of person. You're not that give up type of gal. And so what I'm saying to you is, even though you may feel unfruitful, that you're throwing, what do they say, pearls to a swine? Even though you feel that way, don't give up. It's not time. Or if it is, I want to talk to you about a few things that I think would help you make that final decisions. In our jobs, we go to work day in and day out, and then we feel unappreciated. We give all that we have. We get up early in the morning. We take these long commutes. We get to work, and then we feel unappreciated. Or sometimes it's just a time that you're no longer serving them well, and they're no longer serving you well. And so it's time to just move on. That's not quitting. It just means it's time to grow and move to another season or area of your life. So just know you're not quitting. And then sometimes there's just greater opportunities other places. And again, it's time to move on. So we have to look at our businesses. Do we really want to quit our jobs? But what about the greatest, I think the most awesome profession of all? And that's mom. I know, especially when my child was young, my sweet love of my life, there were times I wanted to quit. It was hard. It was hard being a mom, being frustrated, being tired, not getting enough sleep, not feeling like you're being appreciated, that you're listened to, being overwhelmed with something new. The hospital knew me by name when I first had my daughter because I was calling them every day. I didn't know what to do with this precious thing. I was totally out of my realm. And so being overwhelmed and then not getting the love, the appreciation back for everything you're doing, whether it's as a mom, as a wife, not understanding, not understanding what you're missing or what's needed. And so I say, is it time to quit? Now, there are times that you do need to take breaks. In fact, I want to share with you one time with my daughter, and I was in the military, and I talk about that often. But there was a time that I knew that I had to give my time to the military, that I was in a particular school that they had. It was a NCO Academy, and I knew that it would take most of my time. And I knew that I couldn't give my daughter the dedication and the attention and the love that she needed because I would be gone so much every day in school and nights studying. And so I talked to my mom and I said, Mom, do you think you can take you can take Janetta for a couple of months? And the darling, sweet mom that I had, she took her for 2 months and she took care of her for me. Now, what did that do for me? It made me realize how much I really missed her and how intricately she was weaved into my life and my thoughts and the things that were important to me. And so I was thrilled to get her back. It wasn't that I wanted to quit. It wasn't that I was done. It was that what was going on in my life just totally overwhelmed me. I was tired. And so I needed that break. And my mom provided that break for me. And then we look at life in general. You know, we go about our day to day and we're discouraged. A lot of times we don't even know, what is my value here? What am I giving? When people don't appreciate me, when they give me lip back, when they talk about me, when they put me down, how can I see my value in the middle of all this? When you're mentally exhausted, not only for trying to lift others up, but for trying to lift yourself up as well. What do you do? How do you deal with that? And then when you're trying to walk out your calling and your purpose in life, and you're not even sure what that is, but you're stepping out in faith, believing that you're doing the right thing and not sure of what's coming around the corner, there is so much fear. There's fear of the unknown. There's fear of getting hurt, of making a mistake, of not being successful, of being successful. All those fears that we're constantly bombarded with and we deal with on a daily basis. And wouldn't it be easier to just quit? To just crawl up in a bowl, a little ball, and exist? And just get through every day. Just doing what you do. Doing the same old, but you're getting through it. Absolutely not. You were created. You were born for such a time as this. And there is so much more for you to do. And so when we let life and the things around us discourage us, when we don't see our value, when we are mentally exhausted, and we're living in fear of the judgment of others around us. We're looking and comparing ourselves to others, and we just want to quit. Everything I'm doing, and it's not working. It's not helping. What's the use? What's the purpose? Why? And you work so hard. But because you feel you don't measure up, you don't believe that you have what it takes. But you do. You have everything you need already inside of you, right here. You have what you need. You just need to see it. In fact, that's what I love doing with my clients. That's what lights me up, is having the ability to show them what they already have, but they're just missing it because they're so close, they're unable to see it. So I want to ask you, is it really quitting that you want? Or are you're tired, both mentally and physically tired? Long hours, getting up early in the morning and staying up late at the night to just finish everything that you feel that you need to accomplish to feel like you're worth it or you have value. But that doesn't prove your value. Wouldn't it be so much better and serve others so much greater if you gave them the best of you? And so that requires that you get the rest and the rejuvenation that you need. And so the other thing is, a lot of times, it's not that we want to quit. Excuse me, I'm just checking on this. But you're buying into the lies that you have been telling yourselves or that you believe when others tell you about yourself. Stop believing those lies. Now, great. Sounds great, right? But it's not that easy. And I get that. And sometimes we need help with this. But stop the lies as soon as they start. Sometimes you just have to say, stop. Stop it. But you have to fill that space with something positive. Start creating declarations, not just affirmations, but declarations on the truths of your life, on the evidence of who you are right before you. And then sometimes it's not that we want to quit, but remember I said earlier, it's just time to move on because you've gone as far as you can go. And it's time. That season has come to a close, and it's time to bask in the next season. So the second thing I want to ask you is, or talk to you about is, when is it time to quit? This is all great. You're telling me not to quit, but I know there are times that you just got to throw in the towel and say, I'm done. Sometimes there are external factors that are out of your control. And so those are the times that it is time to quit. Or I'd like to say to move on, to close that door and open the next door. That door has served its purpose. Why? Because possibly it was unsafe. Maybe not physically, but mentally. It was unhealthy. And we have to guard our mind and our hearts and our soul. And so sometimes moving yourself from a situation is what you need at that given time. And so, yes, quit that thing. Give it up. Move on. Because you are worth it. It's run its course. And that season is done. That's when it's time to quit. When it's unsafe, unhealthy, it's run its course, and there are external forces outside of your control that does not lift you up, but tear you down. That is not the environment that you need to be in. And finally, how do you go about quitting? When your mind is made up and it's time to move on, and I'm talking about every area of your life. I'm not talking about your job, not at all, or your business. I'm talking about your family, your home, your kids. You know, that's what quitting is, tough love. You're turning over a new leaf. So here are a few factors. Remember, because I always have to have something for you to walk away with. So the first thing I say is set those that you're leaving up for success and up for succession. So what am I saying? I love something that my husband has really burned in my mind. And it's when you're working a job, when you're working a business, whatever you're doing, that you're not doing it just for yourself, but that you're bringing others up behind you. And you work a job for when you leave. You groom those coming up behind you to take over. But we're so caught up in this, what is called this mentality of lack. And so we think we have to hold on and hoard the things that we have. instead of serving and making room for the next person. We're not created to stay in one spot, but to continually grow. And if we don't continually grow, we stagnate and we die. It's evident everywhere you go in nature, in the flowers, trees, animals, butterflies. It's there. We are created to grow, not to be stagnant in one place. And so never think that where you're at right now is where you're going to stay. If it is, then something didn't go right. So with that said, we want to set others up for success. We want to teach them what we know. We want to show them how to do what they do. And they may even get better than us. They may even create better ways to do it. And that's great, because that means it's time for us to start moving on. And so that we can start setting our sights for greater opportunities and options that are out there for us. So share what you know. Teach what you know. And then set up what I call, or if you've been in the military, like I have, SOPs, standard operating procedures. Set up checklists and stuff on why you do things, how you do things, so that the person that comes on after you, even in a business, as you're teaching others what you're doing, so you can hand that over, so you can start delegating. You need those SOPs, those standard operating procedures in place. So start documenting the things that you do and how you do it. Even as a mother, boy, I would love if my mom had been able to say, hey, here's a little book that I created, and some of the first challenges that you're going to have when you have your first baby. Don't be afraid to call the hospital. They'll help. The baby's going to cry. Don't pick her up. She'll be okay. Just all those little things that we do and we don't pass on because we just think they're natural. Well, they're not. So even as a parent, as an adult parent, growing up your kids along the way, what are you teaching them in the kitchen? And yes, it's great to teach them to cook, to do laundry, to take care of themselves. But what are you teaching them character-wise? What are you teaching them about truth and honesty and wisdom and how to manage their finances and how to think for themselves, how to make decisions, how to make the right choices? Are you passing that knowledge on? Are you teaching them how to stand on their own? And so we have to prepare others when it's time for us to move on, to say, I'm done. You're grown. It's time for you to figure some of this out on your own. But I've given you everything you need. I've prepared you. And so now you have to do some of the thinking on your own. Prepare them for your not being there. Because every day is not promised. And I'm not saying passing this time of life, but sometimes you're just not being there because they've moved on. We never know what life has for us moving forward. And so we have to prepare. One of the things I remember about in work is you know how sometimes at work one person does this, oh, they only do these invoices, and this person only talks to the customer, and this person only does this part of the job. But what happens when they're not there? When that one person isn't there and no one else knows what they do or how they do it, that stops. And that stop in the wheel just totally messes up the whole operation. The whole smoothness of the operation is messed up. And so we have to have those difficult conversations. There has to be not only a physical preparation, but a mental preparation as well. We never want to think about someone not being there. Your best friend, your best coworker. They've been there. You've been able to talk to them. There's someone that you can lean on and confide in. Your husband, your soulmate, your best BFF. And if he's not there, what do you do? How do you deal with that? Your child, not there. How do you move through that? And so there has to be a mental preparation. You're never totally ready. Don't get me wrong. Do you know that when my daughter left to go into the military, one night I was laying there in the bed and it still chokes me up. But I turned to my husband and I said, this is like a divorce. She has been ripped out of my life. I know she will be back, but our relationship will never, ever be the same because I have to be different in her life and she will be different in my life. I can't continue to treat her like my little baby. I can't continue to always be there to pick things up for her again, like I did when she was growing up. I have to let her be the adult. And so that's the mental preparation that I'm talking about. Have a plan. You know I am the plan girl. Have a plan. And then have a backup plan. You know, I heard today it says stay ready. If you stay ready, you don't have to be ready. And that's what a plan does for you. If you have a plan, plan one, and then you have plan two, you're prepared when things just don't go right in your life. And then my favorite is don't burn your bridges. So many times, how does that feel when you're moving up in life and things are great and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm making it. I'm never dealing with so and so again. Oh, I'm done with them because of the way they treated me. And so, oh no. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, I've had those moments. Don't burn your bridges. Because some of the same people that you're gonna burn your bridges with and meet going up are some of the same people that you're gonna run into coming down. Not saying we always go down, but life isn't an even kill. Don't burn your bridges. Why do you think they say do a 2 weeks notice? It's a courtesy to the person that you're leaving to say, hey, I'm leaving. But I'm going to make sure before I leave that everything is in place. Everything is ready for the next person to take off because I'm not going to leave you like that. I'm going to give you everything I got until the last day. Don't burn your bridges because that person is going to remember who you are and how you handled yourself. And you may never be hired by them again. And that doesn't matter. But they're going to remember your character and who you are. And they're going to tell the next person. Because somebody will ask about you, who you are really. What kind of person are you? How did you handle yourself? They're going to ask. Then I want you to think about how your quitting will affect others. There was a time in my life when it was so hard that I wanted to quit life. I was done. I was tired. I didn't want to keep fighting. But there was one thing that kept playing in my mind over and over again. How would this affect my mom? My mom who had given so much for me. How would that affect her? And so I kept going. It wasn't easy. But it got easier. Because I had a reason to keep going. I didn't want my mom to go through the hurt and the pain if I wasn't there. And so think about how your actions in life affect others. One of my favorite sayings to my daughter and to everybody I know, it ain't all about you. It isn't the world according to you. You were not created for you. And finally, this is getting a bit heavy. Finally, let's revisit number one. Go back to why. Why do you want to quit? Start going through the why. And then ask yourself, is it really that you want to quit? Or one of those other reasons? You're tired. This is hard. You're fearful. And so today, we've talked about that elephant in the room. I'm ready to quit. I'm done. There are 3 things that we need to visit before we do. Why do you want to quit? When it's time to quit, and how to go about quitting when your mind is made up. Look, it has been an honor to be here before you today to talk about this thing that so many of us don't even want to admit to feeling. That sometimes it's hard to keep going. But I want to say right here and right now, if I can help you, I'm here. I've started this year a new opportunity for my clients, that they can get on-demand coaching. And it's what I call coach in your pocket. It's I can't even say it, asynchronous coaching. It's where we get to talk back and forth when you need me. Haven't you often come across a time when there's someone that you're working with or you know that has the answer and you wish you could just pick up the phone and call them, but you don't have it like that? Well, that's what this is. It's the ability to volley back and forth with a video, audio, or even text. It's where you get that opportunity. And you can find that. Let me make sure I put this here on https://me.volley.app/Michelle O'Neill. I'll even spell it for you. MISCHELLEONEAL. Do you know both of my names get misspelled a lot of times? But I would love to be able to serve you in that capacity. Some of my clients not only do this on their own, but they also do this in conjunction with some of my other programs. But I want to offer this ability for you to work with me and allow me to help you when you feel like you want to quit. I want to be there to help you walk through these 3 steps. Why do you want to quit? And let me see, I couldn't even think of what it is. When it's time to quit. And how do you go about quitting? I remember that one. When you know that it's time to move on. Thank you again for allowing me to be with you, to share with you today at the meeting place. This is our place to gather and have those amazing conversations. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.